Hi, everyone. It's Liz Costanzo at headquarters located in Alexandria, Virginia, with a high school mini lesson on an economic practice. Feel free to open the lesson plan. I chose to use the teacher action and student action plan just to model it for you. It takes longer, but it's particularly good if you want to ensure you're planning for student engagement. In preparation for you creating a mini lesson on economic practice, I'm going to walk you through my thinking on this one. The resources for the lesson are linked in the course, including the lesson plan if you want to open it up. A mini lesson is a great way to introduce a social studies practice and often presents an opportunity to teach Tier 2 and Tier 3 vocabulary terms. A mini lesson should have one teaching point, take approximately 15 minutes, and conclude with a formative assessment. As you watch the lesson, consider, did the lesson achieve the teaching point? How is a mini lesson different from a bell ringer? And how can mini lessons support student learning of economic practices? So let's set the stage. This mini lesson occurs when the students are introduced to the age of exploration. The standards included in Unit 6, Interactions and Disruptions during the First Global Age. The teaching point is to examine marginal cost and marginal benefit. If the mini lesson achieves the teaching and learning point, the students will have the understanding of marginal cost and marginal benefit as part of their schema and will be able to apply it to Isabel and Ferdinand's decision to support the voyage of Columbus. Also, they will have it in their schema so they can apply this economic concept to another economic situation. Typically, a mini lesson has a supporting question rather than an essential question, as the learning falls under a larger umbrella of learning. So for this mini lesson, the supporting question is, what is marginal cost benefit analysis? Okay, so let's get started. So as students walk into the classroom, they're going to see the do now is either written on the board or projected. Depending on student preference and the availability of Chromebooks, of course, they can use their Chromebook or their notebook, whichever works for them. In there, while they're doing their do now, they are going to include today's date. They're going to write down the learning objective, which is use marginal benefit and marginal cost to construct an argument for or against Isabel and Ferdinand's support of the voyages of Columbus. And they're going to write down the supporting question, what is marginal cost benefit analysis? I love do nows because as they're doing the do now, that's a great opportunity to take attendance and it gets them working as soon as they come in the classroom. All right, so let's get started. In this mini lesson, the students are going to take a look at a dilemma, and this is going to support their learning of the teaching point of marginal cost and marginal benefit. And RJ's dilemma is this. RJ is a junior at Ramstein High School. He is taking 4 AP classes, plays in the varsity football team, and is president of the National Honor Society. He wants to make his college application super competitive so he can go to his dream college. This just happens to be the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. However, RJ faces a dilemma. He has an opportunity to earn $200 a week, but that would mean he has to work 3 hours during the week and 8 hours on Saturday. What should RJ do? All right. So to help RJ make the decision, the students are going to create a marginal cost benefit analysis. So when you're doing the marginal cost benefit analysis, you can either have this printed up for the kids and just hand it out. If the kids are using their Chromebooks, you can have it as a link that they can connect in their Chromebook, or they can just quickly put this in their notebook if they're handwriting it. So in one column, they're going to write down the cost. And the question that they're going to be answering is, what might RJ lose by taking the job? And in the second column, they're going to write down, in parentheses, they're going to put cost in the first column. In the second column, they're going to write down, what might RJ gain by taking the job? And then they're going to put benefit in parentheses. So at this time, I'm going to give the students about 2 minutes to write down their responses in the both columns. So they're going to have 2 minutes to come up with as many costs and as many benefits as they can come up with for RJ to either take or not take the job. So 2 minutes. Once the students have taken 2 minutes to write down their cost benefits, at this time, we're going to do a circle around the classroom where you're just going to have the students, you can have them stand up, and then as soon as they say something, they can sit back down, or you can just simply go around the classroom and ask each student to share one cost or benefit. While the students are sharing, you can be either writing them on the board or typing them into the PowerPoint, whichever one works better for you. So this is going to take about 5 minutes. So we're about 7 minutes into our mini lesson at this point. So far, the students have looked at the dilemma of RJ, they've written down their responses, and now they're sharing their responses with the group. Okay. So they've shared the responses, and what's next? So next, the students are going to give their advice to RJ. So the sentence stem we're going to use is based on the cost benefit analysis. I believe RJ should take or not take the job because. So the students are going to select either whether RJ should take the job or not take the job, and then use evidence from the cost benefit analysis chart to support their response. Tell the students you're going to have 2 minutes to write down their thinking and to respond to this prompt about their advice to RJ. Okay, we're now about 9 minutes in. Next step is stand in the place where you are. This is one of my favorite teaching strategies. It engages the students. It also includes movement, as did the circle around when you have the students stand up and sit down. So what we're going to have here, and stand in the place where you are, we're going to have the students stand if they think the benefits outweigh the costs and RJ should take the job. We're going to ask those students to stand up and then call on a few students to share their thinking about the why using the cost benefit analysis. You're going to thank the students for standing up. They're going to sit down, and then the next group of kids will stand up. If you think the cost outweigh the benefits and RJ should not take the job, please stand up, and we'll repeat the process. So this is stand in the place where you are, and it has the students standing up, and they're going to give their responses using the marginal cost, marginal benefit thinking that they came up with from their chart. Next, we're going to take them into the definitions. All right, so now that they've completed looking at RJ's dilemma, here's what you need to know about the rule of marginal benefit and cost. If the expected benefit of doing something is greater than or equal to the expected cost, then you should do it. If the expected marginal cost of doing something is greater than the benefit, then don't do it. All right, marginal cost, marginal benefit. So now the students, in their own words, are going to write down their personal definitions. And this is our formative assessment. So we've done our activity. We've had them look at the scenario with RJ. They've completed a cost benefit analysis chart. Based on that, they've made an argument either for RJ to take the job or not take the job. And now we've given them the definitions, and now they're going to write their own definition of marginal cost and marginal benefit. This is our formative assessment. So while the students are writing down the responses, give them 2 to 3 minutes to write it down. I would be walking around the classroom and reading their definitions. And if they're on point, I would give it a check mark. If not, I would ask them a few questions. But we're going to say today that this lesson was awesome. The kids understood it, and we can move on. If I notice that more than half the kids didn't get it, I need to rethink how I taught marginal cost, marginal benefit. But for now, they got it. We're moving on, and we're ready to go into the real lesson. Our mini lesson took about 15 minutes. Here's what's going to happen next. Now we're going to take it to the content. So we've got the economic practice out there. We've taught it to kids. They've learned it. We know that from the formative assessment. We're ready to move into content. So here's what they're going to do next. They're going to go into chapter 17, The Age of Exploration. This comes from our McGraw-Hill textbook. They're going to read lesson 1, New Lands to Explore, and they're going to stop in lesson 1 when they get to the words New Lands to Explore. They're also going to watch the video that's embedded in the online text, First Voyage of Christopher Columbus, and they're going to complete a personal cost benefit chart for whether Isabel and Ferdinand should support or they should not support the voyage of Columbus based on the cost and the benefit. So they're going to create an argument then based on their cost benefit analysis chart, very similar to what they did for RJ, only they're using historical context. So historical context and content. So just a couple of notes. If they're using the regular textbooks and they're not using the Chromebook, then I would recommend that you share the video first. And as they're watching the video, they can start their cost benefit analysis as kind of a group. Then you can talk about what they put down for the cost and the benefit of supporting this voyage before they move into the textbook. And it's also a really great way to model what they're going to be looking for as they read. So that was our mini lesson teaching the economic concept of marginal cost and marginal benefit leading into the application with the content. As once again, as you think about this, think about how mini lessons support teaching of our practices, the difference between a mini lesson and a bell ringer. Thank you so much. And I hope this helps you set the stage for writing your own mini lesson on an economic practice, which you will have the opportunity to do after we finish our session with the Federal Reserve of St. Louis. Thank you.